Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim Yehoshai, Bahashim HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, who are the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who risk their lives and their freedom to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as were the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalia, and this video is about the Russians, man, and their part in World War III, which is a part of Bible prophecy. They have a very major part to play. All right, so firstly, World War III is at hand. Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14, the second woe is past, which is talking about World War II, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly, which is talking about World War III. All right, so this is on the table and it is coming. All right, so that's why you see all of this tension happening on the world stage between these world powers, right? You have on one side Russia and Russia's allies, and then you have them against America and NATO and the EU and the State of Israel, which is all one big alliance on that side. All right, so let's take a listen. High alert: Putin moves missiles to Belarus and warns NATO, "I'm done talking. NATO panics." All right, so this is from Redacted. Just going to take a little listen to it. As you can see, it is very long, an hour 45, but we'll get the main point quite early.
But it was a fun time with my son. Okay, well, let's talk about this. This is not fun. Russian President Vladimir Putin made it crystal clear that he's done talking. He's done playing games with NATO. We are too, by the way. Speaking before members of Russia's Security Council today, Putin said that Russia is now deploying medium-range missiles, formally abandoning long-standing arms reduction agreements, and preparing military force in response to any threat from NATO. Now, Putin's words were nothing short of a direct warning to the West, if you want to read them that way. He says, quote, "Strategic stability in the world has begun to deteriorate due to the destructive steps of the West. The foundations for dialogue between nuclear-armed countries have been significantly lowered. Russia has warned the West again and again, but its initiatives had not yet received a clear response. Russia is ready to respond to threats, and it's not just in words," he said. This comes as tensions with NATO seem to be spiraling out of control, and it just shows really the chaos and disorganization inside of NATO right now. Just days ago, Poland's deputy prime minister issued an ultimatum at the UN Security Council, warning Moscow that if another missile or aircraft crosses into Polish airspace, it will be shot down without hesitation.
Hi, Luis. If you were the manager for a transportation company, a passenger...
I have only one request to the Russian government. If another missile or aircraft enters our space without permission, deliberately or by mistake, and gets shot down and the wreckage falls on NATO territory, please don't come here to whine about it. You have been warned. Thank you.
You have been warned. Meanwhile, NATO leaders look paralyzed. 2 weeks ago, President Trump released a really kind of crazy statement blasting European countries and NATO countries for refusing to carry their weight inside NATO. I mean, we could debate whether or not it's crazy, but he was saying, hey, NATO, you're supposed to be like strong against Russia, and you're buying Russian oil and gas. Like, you're making ultimatums against Russia, but you're still you're supporting Putin's war efforts, and yet you claim to be like tough on Russia? Okay, they didn't do anything. They didn't listen to him at all. They haven't done anything, to my mind, unless I missed something. For months, Colonel Douglas McGregor has been warning us that NATO is collapsing. It's lost its relevance. It's a thing of a bygone era. And Colonel Douglas McGregor joins us today on this with the...
Yeah, the reason why it's collapsing is because Esau's kingdom is collapsing. Esau is the forefather of the so-called white people who are the Edomites. All right, and this is their kingdom, and they are the wicked. So this is their vile, wicked kingdom, and it's coming to an end. That's why we see all of this happening. That's why we see the tension rising. The prophecy of World War III is one of the end game prophecies. Once World War III starts, the end of it is going to be the destruction of America, which is Babylon the Great. All right, but I must say that before the destruction comes, which actually the salvation comes before the destruction, the mark of the beast prophecy has to be fulfilled, which is the microchip, because there is a judgment for those in America who take the microchip of the nation of Israel. They will be destroyed. Salvation is only for our people. All right, so when the missiles are shot at the end of World War III, which is going to be shot from Russia, Russia's allies, and also NATO and the EU towards America, because they are going to turn against America eventually, as it says in Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. Then Yahushua is going to return and deliver the elect of the nation of Israel from the four corners of the earth, and 1/3 of our people from America, as it pertains to Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8. All right, so all of this is at hand, man. And tensions are escalating and rising because we're approaching these times, man. You know, the scriptures say in Matthew chapter 24, when the disciples asked Yahushua, Lord, what shall we see before the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? And the end of the world is talking about the end of an age. It's the Greek word aeon, right? Which is talking about the end of the age of the Edomites. Because as the scriptures say, Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So the end of Esau's kingdom is the beginning of our kingdom. All right. And when Yahushua returns, that will be the signal that Esau's kingdom is finally finished and done away with. All right. So this is all at hand, man. And then in that same Matthew 24, right, Yahushua then told the disciples, you'll be seeing certain things such as earthquakes in diverse places, which we're seeing, pestilences, which we're seeing, famines, which we're seeing, but will most certainly increase on a more at a more devastating, and more frequent rate, right? Right now it's like what Sudan and Gaza, but it's going to be a worldwide thing. All right, and Yahushua also said that there shall be wars and rumors of wars, nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom. So we've been in this period of time, right, where we've been seeing these things and we've been experiencing the rumors of wars, all of these world superpowers, continuously from America to NATO and the EU to Russia, they all have been talking about, this kind of like fighting against one another and stuff like that, but nothing has really erupted to a severe level as yet. These are the rumors of wars, all right? But the rumors of wars are going to end eventually, and it's going to turn into full-blown war, World War III, over there in the so-called Middle East, which is Western Asia. So regarding the Russians, in Ezekiel 38, it says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. So this is talking about the Russians as they dwell in that land today that Gog and Magog once dwelt. They are not Gog and Magog, all right? They are Edomites. That's an Edomite sovereign nation, all right? But Gog and Magog used to dwell in that land that is now, known as Russia, all right? So then it says, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I'll turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I'll bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. So Yahweh Shemeshai is going to put the spirit of war upon the Russians, right, for them to want to go to war and fight, all right? All of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So a great company being the alliance. And so we can take a look at current events and see who is aligned with Russia. We can take a look at the BRICS nations, BRICS. Essentially, Russia has enlisted the aid of the heathen for their side of the whole war, because on the other end, the side that they're fighting is also an Edomite, it's an Edomite alliance, right? It's a so-called White Alliance: NATO, the EU, the State of Israel, America, all right? But then Russia has decided to take aid of the heathen, right? And then it says here, Persia, which Persia is known today as Iran. And when you look at world events, you can see that Iran is Russia's #1 ally. And the scriptures point out Persia. So that's all the spirit, man. Okay? That Persia was pointed out first in the scriptures, and they are in fact Russia's #1 ally. Ethiopia and Libya, which is talking about the African nations, which those are the biblical Hamites. With them, all of them with shield and helmet. And that relationship has also strengthened over the past few years. All right? Gomer and actually they are part of BRICS too. You know, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. I believe that's what it is. Let me just double check. Yeah, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And then they also have other members such as Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. You see? So to continue, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the North Quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. So this is talking about Turkey. And it's the same situation as the Russians. Turkey is in that land now that Gomer and Togarmah once dwelt. And Turkey is a part of NATO right now. But if you do a Google search of Turkey's, relationship with NATO, America, and especially the State of Israel, you can see that it's deteriorating. So Bible prophecy is occurring. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So Russia's a guard unto its allies. So knowing this, whenever you see certain things happening with Russia's allies, remember this scripture that Russia's a guard unto them. All right, so this is what is at hand. I'm not going to play any more of the video because we got the main point of it, right? Russia is making moves. They're talking boldly in a warlike spirit. This is all a part of Bible prophecy. There's a little bit more in the scriptures regarding the Russians, and it refers to the Medes. All right, so it says in Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 17, behold, I will stir up the Medes, which is talking about the Russians here. Against them we shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, right? Because they won't care. Once it is that they go full-blown into the war, they don't care about what, they can gain from those that are their enemies or whatever, right? Because as the dude mentioned in the video, he said that the NATO and the EU, I believe, that they are still basically buying and trading with Russia, which then he's saying that is aiding Russia's war efforts, which is true. All right, but eventually Russia just isn't just going to care. They're going to go to war. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And what's that bow talking about? The missiles. And Babylon, which is talking about America, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency shall be as when Yahweh Shemeshai overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, so that's the judgment of Babylon the Great, which is America. Destruction by way of thermonuclear fire. All right, and that's how Sodom and Gomorrah went out. Then it has here in Jeremiah 51 and verse 11, make bright the arrows, which are talking about those missiles. Gather the shields. The Lord Yahweh hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, talking about the Russians, for his devices against Babylon, which is America, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. So there it is again. Those Medes are going to be aiding in the destruction of America. All right, so this is all what is at hand, man, and this is why you see this tension continue to escalate. And there has been talks in the past few weeks here and there about, some kind of negotiations or some kind of peace or something, but there will never be any kind of peace, because Bible prophecy already states that these things are going to happen. World War III is going to happen. Russia's going to go to war against America and her allies. All right, all of these kinds of things, and it's all going to end in the destruction of America. All right, so repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. With that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai Bashim Kodesh. Shalom.